Hey, you guys, it is C and Nash, and thank you so much for tuning in once again to Mirror Reflections. Again, it's based off my novel, Mirroring Effect, which is available online on Amazon, but also you can get it at the bookstore. So here's the deal, just because you don't see it on your bookshelf does not mean you can't purchase it. You can still purchase it. However, if you don't see it on your bookshelf, I plead of you, please go to customer service, go to the store manager, and passionately, with enthusiasm, request that Marrying Effect be on the bookshelf. Just because it's such a great message, you guys. I'm not saying it just because I wrote it, but I reread this book all the time and I pull something away, especially when life has happened to me. Over the last few months, I've had to go back and reread this book, and it's just an amazing message, and it has such a therapeutic. That's what's so different about it. It has such a therapeutic undertone to it, and it allows, I feel, people to process their emotions in the safe place of their home, in the comfort of their home. So definitely check it out. Also, if you are in the Memphis area, November the 4th, I will be at Barnes & Noble, Wolf Chase location at 3 p.m., where I'm just chatting it up, meet and greet, talking about the book, as well as some of the things that you may hear in this vlog series. So, last week we talked about suicide, and I know that was such a heavy topic, and I wanted to start it off just because that's how the book starts. That's pretty much what sets the plot into motion. This week I wanted to talk about another important theme, because while we have suicide that kind of sets everything off, we have another theme that kind of drives the plot along. So I want to talk about today self-esteem and identity, which is so crucial. And I think not just for if you're a teenager, but it's something that we have to deal with constantly. It's something that always comes up, and it definitely comes up in the book. So you have Desi, who's the main character, who her sister Demi unfortunately commits suicide. So that shakes her up. That shakes up her identity. Everything she knew to be true was no longer true. And that happens to us in life when we're so comfortable and we're so used to things happening our way, or we can expect things. When something happens that changes it up, it completely throws us off, and we find ourselves like even questioning our identity. So in a nutshell, how I define self-esteem and identity. Self-esteem is how you feel about yourself. Well, identity is what you think about yourself. And so the two kind of go hand in hand, and they play off of each other, because when you think about it, oftentimes how you feel about yourself kind of sets into motion and shapes what you think about yourself, and then what you think about yourself oftentimes kind of plays into how you feel about yourself. So the two go hand in hand. So this is something that, like I said, we deal with on a constant basis. No matter how old you are, who you are, what background you're from, we all have to deal with self-esteem. So I want you to kind of ask yourself, where's your self-esteem? How do you feel about yourself? So the thing is, as a teenager, it's completely common for us to look to others to kind of define and shape us. And while it's natural, me kind of looking back, just hear me out here, I realize how kind of backwards that is. So get this, like, how reasonable, how logical, how sensible, okay, is it to go to someone else to help define and shape you, when 9 times out of 10, that person's also going through it too. Like, they're confused about life. So it's kind of like you put yourself in an awkward position. It's like the blind leading the blind. It's kind of like, I think the recipe for being a hot mess, because you're looking to others to kind of define who you are, and they're still trying to figure out themselves, So I want to start also by reading from the book, another excerpt. So at this point, Demi has passed away, and Desi's just really struggling, and she happens to come across Demi's journal, and that's kind of what starts this frenzy of, her self-identity and trying to figure things out. And so in the journal, Demi writes something that kind of plays with Desi's mind a little bit. So I'm going to read a part of it. Do I resemble Demi? I scrutinize my reflection. To be honest, I always thought Demi was the after version of me, like those people who were selected for a makeover. The chosen girl would pop from behind the curtains looking like a brand new person. Her family and friends would cry, which would cause the Cinderella to cry after she realized she had been transformed. Of course, that would make the host cry because she realized her bibbidi bobbidi boo just saved that wretched girl's life. Well, that's how I always viewed Demi, as me after the makeover. I took a few steps back to examine my entire body. Demi wrote that I was beautiful in a natural way. I squinted my eyes to see what Demi saw. I never thought I was ugly, just average. Average frame, average face, plain brown eyes, just average. Demi revealed she envied my frame. I almost choked when I read that. I was slender, however, I really didn't have any shape. Boobs appeared inside my shirt. They were there somewhere. But yeah, right, moving on. The only things that stood out were my dimples and my hair. My hair, I smiled. Vivian, the name I coined for my hair, took on a personality of her own. Vivian was thick, curly, and unpredictable most of the time. Demi typically straightened her loose waves. Me, on the other hand, no such luck. I was barely able to run a comb through it, let alone straighten it. I touched my face, stepping closer to the mirror. My sister and I had similar features. We both had almond-shaped brown eyes. Demi's almost looked hazel at times. I guess we had the same smile. Our bone structure was sort of similar, I thought. Maybe if I tilted my head a little. Wait, I think I see it. I slowly angled my head. My reflection laughed back. Maybe my sister and I did look alike. I murmured. Go figure. So I wanted to start with that just because that pretty much shapes Desi's journal. While she's trying to figure out her sister and discovering things about her sister, she in turn has to also figure out about herself and kind of the aftermath and the I would say some of the effects that and consequences that can happen when you look to other people to define you. So I'm gonna give you another story. Case in point, we're gonna call this Exhibit A. Can you guys see that? Okay, so I was going to tell y'all not to laugh, but every time I see this picture, I can't help but to laugh. You see that? Look at that. I'm not going to tell you the decade that is, but yeah, that's me if you haven't already figured it out. Look at that dimples. But okay, so this girl was outspoken and friendly and loyal, and she was pretty smart. You know, she did good in classes, whatever, but she didn't look like the typical beauty. And so even though she was so sure of herself internally, physically, she began to have doubts. And so that led to her looking toward other people for validation, looking toward her friends for validation. And so that kind of led to this one right here, this chick. Let's call that Exhibit B. Okay. So y'all, please learn this. I want to zoom in on that one. Okay. Sorry. This is what happens when you listen to your friends, okay? Y'all see that white eyeliner I had? Okay, this was in high school. And in my defense, okay, y'all, back in the day, this was fashionable, okay? That right there was considered cute. The thick white chalky eyeliner, yeah. My friends wore it. It was very popular in my school. So yeah, so because this chick was so unsure of herself, she began doubting herself, even though she had a lot of strengths. She started looking to other people for validation. But here's the thing with that was, even when she was here, she knew God called her to be peculiar. She knew she was different. She was awkward. She was offbeat. She was weird. She was funny, but she was different. And she tried to fight it by trying to fit in with the in crowd and fit in with everybody else. And that unfortunately only led to discomfort and tension amongst her friends, because she became moody. And I'll say she, but me, I became moody and distant with my friends because it was a battle. I was struggling. And in the end, I'm not going to lie, some of the friendships did dissolve, you know, because I wasn't being myself. I wasn't embracing who I truly was. But on the flip side, some of those friendships I still have to this day, you know. So shout out to my BFFs who go back way. So yeah, but also by embracing who I truly was, I was also able to meet some really, really awesome, fantastic people who accepted me for who I was. Go figure. So let's. So you don't forget, I'll put it in the background for you guys. I'm sorry, I'm rolling off these pictures. Look at God. Won't he do it? Won't he will? So I'm having too much fun right now. So I say that clearly I'm a lot more comfortable in the skin I am now, but it took time. And I have people who actually come at me and say, oh my gosh, you have so much confidence. And I claim it and I own it because I had to work hard to get to it. Every single time I doubted myself, every time I thought I wasn't good enough or pretty enough, I had to take it face on. But quite honestly, the confidence did not come from me. The confidence that people see in me now does not belong to me. In fact, it wasn't until I started working on my relationship with God through Christ that I was able to really battle those negative thoughts and those, the doubt, because I started relying on God's truth and what he thought about me versus what people who are fickle and situations which change. I stopped worrying about those things that, so-called defined me and made me who I was and, established my identity. I let that stuff go. And I started looking towards him, and things have never been the same since then. So I want to wrap up because I know if you guys are in Memphis, this is your fall break. However, I'm gonna give y'all a homework assignment because I love homework assignments. Okay, so yeah. So tonight, here you guys. This is what I want you guys to do. Before you go to bed, just list out on paper, even in your head, your truths. Do you know what your strengths are? Do you know what your weaknesses are? Are you willing to embrace those weaknesses or those areas of improvement? And I say embrace because I'm a firm believer that given the right time to the right person and the right dose, you can really truly turn any area of weakness into something that's positive, that's something that will benefit other people. So I hope you guys see my pictures and I hope you benefit from my story. I had fun sharing it. But I challenge you guys to really sit down and discover your truths, because at the end of the day, those truths are unshakable and they're consistent and they're solid, and nothing and no one will be able to change those truths once you really embrace them. Okay? So, thank you guys for tuning in. I will be here again next week, every Friday, 4:30. You guys can catch me on my YouTube channel. Check me out on Facebook at CN Nash or my Instagram at TheCNNash. My website is www.thecnnash.com. So, until next week, God bless. Bye.